the same old strip. I gotta find a new place where the kids are hip.
You've probably heard of the Beach Boys. I would guess pretty much everybody has. But I want to give you a kind of a quick summary of the stuff that I found about them. There is a lot that's been written about them. If you want to dig in more, do go looking. So they were formed in California in 1961 by brothers Carl, Brian, and Dennis Wilson, and also included their cousin Mike Love and their friend Al Jardine. They pioneered and are most famous for their surf sound, which they did in the early 60s, which was happy, shiny songs about surfing with complex vocal harmonies in a style that was related to doo-wop, and I think relates even further back to barbershop. Then the Beatles happened and the so-called British invasion, at which point the popularity of surf music waned. And although this is a bit of a simplistic view of what happened, the Beach Boys attempted to keep pace with the increasing complexity and maturity of pop that was emerging out of that. And possibly out of all the American bands that were affected in this, they probably did the best job of reacting to that. There's been, in the years since, a lot of toing and froing, arguments between members, changing level of involvements, a few member changes, friendship with Charles Manson that went sour, involvement with the same Indian guru as the Beatles, and of course they released Pet Sounds, which is one of the most celebrated albums of all time and certainly one of the most innovative of its time. They kind of survived sometimes more off than on since 1961, and they've produced 29 studio albums in total. Just over half of those were released in the 60s. Hi, my name's Dan. So this was the 6th album released by the Beach Boys. I'm not a stranger to it. I have reviewed it before. I used to do reviews. Before I did video reviews, I did a blog with some reviews, and this was one of the albums that got reviewed on the blog. But I have, of course, re-listened, rethought, and this is my new review. It is surf sound, which is kind of post-rock and roll pop. At this point, they're starting to get a little bit more into some more complex stuff, but it's mostly the kind of what you'd imagine from the term Beach Boys, or what most people would imagine, which are trademark harmony vocals, which are often quite complex and very competent, which hark back to doo-wop. And mostly the songs here are kind of at least about Californian teen life, which was kind of their thing. So particularly want to draw to attention here, I Get Around, All Summer Long, Girls on the Beach, and Drive In, which all kind of relate back to that kind of Californian teen culture. Do you remember is a track that does name calling of rock and rollers? I quite like a name call roll kind of track, and this is good. Yeah, it's interesting. It's got a disparaging line about the British invasion in it. Little Honda is about a scooter, which is again, it's quite an interesting song. The track Our Favourite Recording Sessions sounds like studio chat that's been kind of collected together. I'm pretty sure that this has been faked and that it's scripted, but I don't know for sure. If anybody knows, please do let me know. Carl's Big Chance is a guitar instrumental which has a feel quite like The Shadows, who were a British band who predominantly did guitar instrumentals. Girls on the Beach is a slower song, and it has some odd chord shifts in it. It's kind of got a more of a crooner feel to it in some ways. Overall, it's a reasonable listen. It's a good snapshot of the Beach Boys as they were, and you get into the point where they're starting to transition towards the more complex things. In some ways, I think it's the sort of thing that fans of the Beach Boys would like, but of course fans of the Beach Boys will know it. So I'm not really sure who else would really respond to it particularly well. I mildly enjoyed it. I'm kind of generally mildly enjoying the Beach Boys, but I'm not a huge mega Beach Boys fan. So that's what I think. I'd love for you to tell me what you think of this album. I know there are some raging Beach Boys fans out there. If that's you, I'd love to hear from you. Whatever your stance is, though, I'd love to hear what you think of this album, and why not give it a score like I have done, so that we can compare scores. And that's it from me for now.